Hello, and welcome to the China Grand Prix edition of Formula Cake. Today we're making walnut cookies using the recipe from the Walks of Life. So we're going to start off by roasting off our walnuts. I just put them in a pan on some heat, making sure they're getting nice and toasty. And you can see I also have my butter out. I didn't quite take it out with enough time to spare, so I'm just warming it up a little bit with the heat, the residual heat off of the pan. There's this nice color change that happens in the walnuts, which should impart some nice flavor as well, so we're not just throwing raw walnuts in and hoping that it bakes. The walnuts we want to smash up, so just put them in a bag, and I'm using my rolling pin to smash them up, try and get them all to the same size. You can see that didn't quite work out, but my precision is right now on par with Aston, so we'll pretend those chunks don't really exist right now. I'm also sifting my dry ingredients. I'm really trying to set myself up for success here, and the recipe did call for sifting, but it did call for cake flour. Now I could substitute my all-purpose flour, some of that with some cornstarch to kind of make a cake flour, but I don't want real crumbly cookie, so I'm just using all-purpose flour and hoping for the best. We mix our walnuts here. And now we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. This is the butter that I was trying to warm up and bring up to room temperature. You can see it's still a little bit hard, so it's going to take a little bit extra manipulation to get it to where I want it to be, but ultimately it's getting there. Now I'm weighing out my sugar on the scale. You can't see the scale, but it's under my bowl here. And I'm just creaming it together. There's nothing special going on here. Scrape it down with a spatula and cream it together. The recipe calls for 1 egg, so I'm just going to scramble that up as best as I can, and then I'm going to take a little bit of that off to use in the egg wash. So I'm not wasting a whole other egg for the egg wash, which is kind of nice. Adding in my salt, and I'm mixing the creamed butter and sugar with all my dry ingredients just a little bit before I go ahead and add my egg in. And you can see this is a little bit of a tough dough, so I'm trying to mix it together with my fork. It all kind of got just mixed and mushy in there. My spatula is a little bit soft. I'm realizing it's kind of useless, so I'm using my hands to bring it all together. I do that sometimes with sugar cookie dough, so why not with the walnut cookie dough? So here we are trying to make 2 cookies in the shape of the Shanghai Circuit for the China GP. So I'm doing my best. I split it off into what I thought was approximately 2 to make 2 cookies. I guess I could have weighed it out, but I honestly wasn't sure how much of the dough I would need for both of the circuits, so I just kind of eyeballed it. And you can see I'm just making shapes as best as I can. It's not like I'm cutting it out with a cookie cutter. It's just free-forming it, and the dough works like Play-Doh. It's very easy to manipulate like that, and you can see I'm just butting them up to each other, smushing them together, making all these shapes. You can tell me what kind of shapes you think they are. It's okay, I already know. And then I had some dough left over, so I decided to make some more traditionally shaped walnut cookies. I made balls and put them down, and now we're just going to stick some roasted walnuts on top of it so that we know what we're eating, and we're eating something with walnuts in it. And I think I went a little bit hard with the walnuts, but that's okay because I used up all the walnuts that I had. Look at that! So I took off my paper. I didn't bake the paper this time. And then we just let it rest for 15 minutes, throwing on the egg wash, a generous amount of egg wash. It's going to help in the oven brown it a little bit and make it nice. And look at that. Doesn't that look nice? From what you can tell? I think they came out looking great. I was a little bit worried that the inside of those bigger cookies wasn't going to cook, but it actually did. I think that's a pretty good replica. And you can see the inside is nice and baked. It smelled so good. It tasted even better. If you just dip it in some coffee in the mornings, oh, delicious. And now we're going to go into what I'm calling my cold lap, since I'm not particularly good at driving yet, we're going to say. So I'm going to take you around the Shanghai Circuit here. But watching FP1 and the sprint qualifying, I really thought Ferrari was going to be in the front row somewhere. But then Mercedes, of course, somehow just took that away. It was a Mercedes 1-2, I think, for the sprint queue. I'm not going to be awake for the sprint or qualifying, so we're going to just go through what we saw already. I was surprised to see, I think it was Norris up in P3. That was shocking to me that he got that far. I don't think I saw Perez go out, which I was a little bit surprised because between him and Bottas, I'm really, really curious to see how they stack up against each other. I know they're both the number 2 drivers, but I want to know what happens, where they end up, and how they, which of the number 2 is the actual number 2 driver. But I don't know how excited I am about this sprint or the race itself. I think we saw with the battery deployment that the straight, going down this back straight, it's going to have huge effects on passing and overtaking and how that happens, and I'm a little bit not looking forward to that piece of it. But watching all the cars get backed up, it looks like they can have a bunch of cars in and around and next to each other, which could make some good racing, or we could see some artificial racing like we did in Australia, so who knows. And thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Thanks for watching Formula Cake GP. Walnut Cookie.